brought it up, Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Mr. Vice President, I'm going off script again, I know, but I just want to personally thank you. We've been through some stuff. We've gone through some of the most complex military operations this country's ever conducted, and your steady hand and your leadership during those was a great source of strength for me. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your character. Thank you for your selfless service. Thank you for commitment. Thank you for being a mentor to me, Mr. Vice President.
It's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. Did I get that one right? Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
This is a president of the United States who is a danger to the Republic.
America first.
He knows he's an illegitimate president.
The oath of office I take today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans.
The great Trump recovery.
America will never be a socialist country. I will fight for you with every breath in my body.
Russia, Russian, pro-Russian, Russian, the Russians.
Russia.
And I will never, ever let you down.
A dangerous virus is spreading rapidly in China, and U.S. officials are very worried that it could come here.
This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this.
The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. Together, we will make America strong again. You know what it's about? Fraud, fake ballots. We will make America wealthy again. They are trying to steal the election.
Now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of Special Operations Forces.
We will make America proud again. And watch, please, those mail-in ballots. We will make America safe again. And in millions and millions of ballots, their vote is under what they thought they needed. They're dumping more ballots in there, okay? And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president.
Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
breaking now. President Donald J. Trump has announced a historic new healthcare system, the launch of America's first medbed hospitals and a national medbed card for every citizen.
Every American will soon receive their own medbed card. With it, you'll have guaranteed access to our new hospitals led by the top doctors in the nation, equipped with the most advanced technology in the world. These facilities are safe, modern, and designed to restore every citizen to full health and strength. This is the beginning of a new era in American healthcare.
In this first phase, only a limited number of medbed cards will be released. Registration details will be announced very soon.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Devolution Power Hour. Very excited to announce a new sponsor tonight, a medbed company. Guys, Trump posted that on his True Social. Like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it is, and I'm not sure if it's amazing, but
I wonder if it's going to be like the Hunger Games for who gets the medbed card.
They barely came out with the gold card, and they're already talking medbed cards. It's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, Chris, how you doing, man?
Oh, good. Well, I mean, I'm doing okay, but I would be doing better if I had a medbed.
You know, I never went down the medbed rabbit hole. I never followed anybody that talked about them. I know we have a guy in the chat that goes by Medbeds Co. or something.
Yeah.
I don't even know what they do.
Well, there was this movie Elysium. I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago. Burning Bright and I covered it on Badlands Story Hour not too long ago. Yeah. And so there's a scene in that where, you know, her child is on the brink of death and she gets to go to rich people land and put him into the med bed where it just heals him immediately.
Wow. Let's watch this. Oh, there's no audio.
Oh, damn. Oh, man. I sent you a bad video.
Is it my
Let's see if I can find another one.
Acute lympho.
Here you go. Try this one.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Is the audio working?
Oh, wait, hold on. The one I just sent. There we go. There we go.
Nice.
Identification confirmed. Scanning. Reconstruction process initiated.
Oh, so people were talking about these being like legit real things?
I don't know about like this, but yeah, there have been different versions. I've heard people tell me different versions of the med beds thing for a while. And hey, man, who knows?
I guess that's a good point.
Yeah.
It's hard to say anything's not real anymore. But anyway.
Well, I think it's interesting that Trump posted that video too. I mean, a few weeks ago, and we talked about it a little last week or the week before, he talked about how AI was looking so real. And now he's posting a video and it's like, well, you can tell that it's AI, right? So we know that despite how real it looks and despite how authentic it sounds compared to what we would have imagined 10 or 15 years ago, we can still tell that it's fake, right? Yeah. But there's some people out there who might not be able to, or might want it to be true so much that they pretend it's true. So I think that it's interesting. He's calling our attention to that.
Yeah. The grifters are going to have a field day.
Yeah. But, you know, you could take it the other way and be like, hey, Trump is telling us you can't just believe what you see on the internet, you know, and that's a lesson that we got to learn. And I don't know if you downloaded that video I sent you earlier with the Morgan Freeman thing.
No, I don't think I did.
I think so. I sent it to you on Telegram, but I can just grab it myself and pull it up too.
Yeah, how about let me get to our first our sponsors, and then we can get into that. So first up, we got our very own Jordan Sather with some applied awareness.
Hello, Badlanders! It's your friendly neighborhood Jordan here, and I've talked to so many of you guys at the GARTs who've wanted help with supplementation, diet, exercise programming, and more. So I'm excited to announce the launch of my Applied Awareness private coaching group. In this group, I condense 15 years of holistic health experience into training just for you, with one-on-one support from me by way of weekly Zoom calls, daily video updates, a community chat where we can all ask and answer questions from each other, plus a lot of video courses, 8 courses in there with over 70 videos at this point. And if you like the whiteboard education, there's plenty of that in there. So if you're looking to move better, feel better, lose weight or gain weight, and strengthen your mind and your body, this is for you. This weekend, I'm launching a 6-week self-development program. So check the description down below to learn more and find how to sign up. I hope to see you in there.
I'm curious what he points to when he says mind and body, because the pointer disappears off the screen, but he loves a little freaking pointer. It's so funny. I encourage you guys to sign up for that. Jordan is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this stuff. He's been working really hard on putting that program together, and I think it's going to be really cool. Let's see if I can snag a free invite or a free code to get into it or something. But we also got, speaking of health, some CB distillery. Guys, you know those nights when you just don't sleep? Next day you're dragging, exhausted, and everything feels just that much harder. That's where CBD from CB Distillery can make a real difference, but it's not just sleep. CB Distillery has solutions that work with your body to help you with stress, pain after exercise, or even your mood and your focus. And it's all made with the highest quality clean ingredients, no fillers, just premium CBD. Imagine waking up rested and enjoying your day without those nagging aches and pains. That's the real win of CB Distillery Solutions, and that's why over 2 million people trust CBD from CBD Distillery. I personally love the sleep one, and I ran out a little while ago, and I need more because I've been lacking and slacking in my sleep, especially lately. Been working on a bunch of stupid stuff, but that's stuff I have to do anyway. So if you're one of those people not sleeping good, stressed out, not feeling great, have some pain after exercise, get some CBD from CB Distillery, not the gas station. You get 25% off your entire purchase right now from cbdistillery.com. Use promo code DPH. That's cbdistillery.com, promo code DPH. Specific product availability depends on individual state regulations. All right, man. Let's play this video. This is, I think I've seen this before.
And what you see is not real. Well, at least in contemporary terms, it is not. What if I were to tell you that I am not even a human being? Would you believe me? What is your perception of reality? Is it the ability to capture, process, and make sense of the information our senses receive? If you can see, hear, taste, or smell something, does that make it real? Or is it simply the ability to feel? I would like to welcome you to the era of synthetic reality. Now, what do you see?
So how many times did they use that for Biden?
Could be all of them.
It's crazy, man. I've seen that video before, and I've seen a few of them like that.
Yeah,
it's nuts. Technology, and again, every time I see stuff like that, like welcome to the age of technology. We know the military, the intelligence agencies, all these people have had that stuff for who knows how long. Us getting the commercial product is not the new release of the product if it's really awesome. It's been out for a long time.
Yeah, I was just saying in our chat, it's reached a certain point with how the information is coming in. It's so unreliable. We don't even know none of the information. Government documents, we don't know those aren't falsified. Videos, we don't know those aren't AI or staged or whatever else. And you can chip away at basically every piece of what we used to think of as evidence in the same way, and at least call them all into question, because the way they are transmitted to us is so unreliable that knowing we're in an information war, our default stance should be total disbelief. I'm not going to go along with anything you say. You know, the system would have to relocalize itself if people applied that en masse. And unfortunately, people, I don't think, are ready to do that, because the admission, I guess, emotionally, psychologically, means that too many other things break down.
Yeah, man. It's hard for me to hear that when you talk about government documents potentially being fake, because I have a soft spot in my heart. But I know you're right. And it depends, I think, where you read the government document. But I mean, I guess it doesn't mean it's not faked either. You could read it from anywhere. You could read it on the White House website and they can be put in and out. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I choose to sometimes believe differently. And we're going to talk about some government documents tonight, man. So
yeah,
hold on to your horses.
The only other thing I'd say though is, you know, if a deep state actor is in a government agency in 1975 and falsifies a document or eliminates a document and replaces it with something he drew up himself, 45 years later, 50 years later, or I guess 50, considering I said 1975, but 50 years later, we would look back at that and be like, oh, look at this secret document from 1975 that says this and this and this. There's no way to know for sure that the government employee creating that document was creating something that had any attachment to reality whatsoever.
Yeah. You know, I have seen a lot of times on, especially my research, but just generally on Twitter, like people will fabricate documents. Remember when Benny Johnson got caught fabricating or he posted an AI document?
I mean, he's done so many shilly things that
he's been really heavily promoted lately, like by the mainstream media. Fox News has been cycling through. It's been him, Tim Pool. Who else has been on there? God, I had a whole list of them. There was like 4 or 5 nights in a row where on a Jesse Waters show, Primetime Fox, where it's been some like conning, you know, video streamer, Rumble podcaster that they're promoting heavily, talking about the tranny war. It's crazy.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Anyway, I do think we have a lot to talk about tonight. There is some government documents, the domestic terrorism thing, and what Trump said about the military, and how I think it ties to the RICO Grande case. We'll get into that. Trump last week did kind of softly disclose devolution using pictures, which I think is hilarious. The Comey indictment, we can get into that. We can get into the shutdown rug, which is like 3 days away. The pocket rescissions ruling. You sent over a really cool topic having to do with Clarence Thomas and stare decisis and some precedent, which I think is notable. And who knows what else we get into. We're gonna get weird tonight, I think. But let's start with this. I guess we could go chronological, but I don't think we should. I think we should start with some NSPMs and what Trump did, because I love me some NSPMs. Trump the other day, he came out and said that he was going to add on to, I think it was Monday, he signed the actual domestic terrorism executive order. It was very bare bones. We talked about this on Wednesday. It was like, this doesn't do anything. There's no such thing as domestic terror. Like, there's no domestic terrorism list. There's no law against domestic terrorism in this country. There's no federal law for it, which is kind of absurd. But there's never been a single person in the history of the United States that's actually been charged with domestic terrorism. It's a sentencing enhancement, and just weird. I was like, this can't be it. Like, there's got to be more. And then, sure enough, on it might have been on Wednesday, Trump came out with that Truth Social post saying he was going to do more. This was after the ICE shooting down in Texas, and we finally got what that is. And it was a presidential memorandum, specifically a NSPM. So I actually went to the NSPM's website. Just gotta pull that back up now. NSPM, there we go. And noticed that there is one missing. We don't have an NSPM 6. So we got our first classified national security presidential memorandum of the second term, which I think is great, because there's still a whole bunch from his first term that, especially at the end there, that are classified or without dates. We're missing, 29 and 30 and 32. Still don't know what they are, which is interesting. But anyway, okay, let's go back to the actual NSPM here. And have you had a chance to read through what Trump actually issued?
No, I haven't. No, I saw your post about that, but
yeah. So, I mean, what I'm going to say on it isn't much different than my post. It goes in, this makes the original executive order, like, gives it all the teeth. It makes the original executive order, adds on to it, and almost makes it look like a 13818 or a 13848, where it talks about the specific crimes. It talks about all the people that could be, roped into this. It goes into who's funding it, who's organizing it. Talks about what law enforcement should do when they find somebody who they believe is engaging in domestic terrorism. They're supposed to interrogate every one of them and figure out who they communicated with. Like, give us the organization and who's funding you, and this is how they're going to weed out everything. But one of the most interesting things that I found in here was one of the authorities that they're using, or one of the laws that they're going to be charging these people with. And it's this one right here. 18 U.S.C. 241, conspiracy against rights. And why I think that is so interesting and notable is because just one statute away, so 241, we have this one, 18 U.S.C. Code 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. And if you guys remember, John Solomon, when he came out and was talking about the underlying crime for the RICO Grande case, the big case they're doing against everything from Spygate to basically when Trump got in office, going after the deep state, right? The justice and accountability we've been waiting for. This is the crime they're actually using. And the only difference here is really the people doing this law. It's the same as the other one, except these people are doing it while basically wearing a suit or a law enforcement. Like they're part of our government. They're paid by your tax dollars. And I think it's notable because it's the same crime. They could, and also what we believe the domestic terrorists are actually doing. They're the ones implementing the color revolution being put on by the people in government that Trump has been trying to weed out. I think they're going to tie together. And so I thought it was really exciting and pretty interesting.
The deprivation of rights thing, I think, is so interesting. And the domestic terrorism, this is my opinion. I'm not speaking for anybody but myself. But when I see these trauma events that are repeatedly staged all over the country and then broadcast with a ready-to-go messaging operation attached to them, I think, that's an intelligence agency doing this or leading it or somehow directing, funding, organizing, whatever it is. And the consequence for the public is to be terrified. One of the narratives that's kind of spun off the Charlie Kirk thing is that this is about shutting down conservative perspectives. They want to silence conservatives. And I think that all of that falls under the rubric of domestic terrorism, if you ask me. I mean, these are acts that if it were Muslims doing it, we would be told that it was terrorism, you know, and because it's not an obviously foreign actor doing it, it doesn't even qualify as terrorism. It's strange.
It is strange. I really think these are domestic color revolutions. It's not even necessarily terror. I mean, they use terroristic acts or whatever.
Right.
You can call it terrorism, but they're doing it under the banner. I guess not under the banner because they're not admitting to it, but it's for the purpose of committing color revolutions. Like what Antifa and BLM and those people did here domestically and have been doing, it's no different than what they did in Ukraine in 2014. No different at all. And so, yeah, I think it's really interesting going after this. And I think they are eventually going to connect this to foreign money. They have to. There's no way they don't. Like they're already talking about going after George Soros. Did you see that this week?
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was the DOJ and Pam Bondi. They're announcing that they're tasking 6 prosecutors or attorneys to go after George Soros. And it was after that report that came out this last week talking about him. It's weird though. Trump came out and pretty much heavily criticized Pam Bondi a couple days ago, and then right away followed it up with the lovey-dovey post. But after that criticism, all of a sudden we have a bunch of really interesting moves, including a Comey indictment, which we'll get to here in a little bit, all back to back to back. The domestic terrorism, the Comey indictment, and then the Soros thing. And they're likely all connected.
Yeah, I would think so. The Soros thing, he kind of seems like an avatar for the global philanthropist, NGO funder, election rigger, the guy that buys the National Association of School Boards and like all of the various national organizations that kind of implement the regime agenda in whatever field they're involved with. And I don't know, I think he's like kind of an avatar of this group of many people. Trump mentioned Reid Hoffman this week. I thought that was interesting. He's connected to the Epstein Island thing. And he's also the guy who was in a screaming match with Palantir's Peter Thiel last year, 2 days prior to assassination event number 1, which was itself 2 days prior to J.D. Vance being named the running mate. And of course, J.D. Vance was mentored by Peter Thiel. So I think all that stuff is relevant, and there's going to be a lot coming together there. But that's just the George Soros piece. I mean,
yeah,
that's
is George Soros still alive?
They do say that he is. Yes,
isn't he like almost 100 years old?
I don't think he's quite that old, but probably late 80s. I'll look it up.
Yeah, I mean, because he's just old as balls. So, but anyway, I'm curious to see.
You know what? You mentioned the Ukraine thing. I also want to say it seems like January 6th they were hopeful of having a Maidan style event on J6, and this guy Ivan Kachanovsky, I think is his name, has done this incredible reporting on Maidan. And one of the things was that they were essentially sacrificing rioters, like shooting these people so that it would make it look like the regime was attacking its own citizens and thus would warrant being overthrown. So all of that is part of the same color revolution playbook, like you were just mentioning.
Yeah, which makes it interesting. We went over this on a Power a long time ago, but when the transcripts from some of the J6 committee came out, and I think it was Christopher Miller's, he made sure that none of the military troops that were in the area or part of the responding forces had weapons because they didn't want those optics.
That's very smart. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. And speaking of J6, we got a clickbait report that came out that everybody ran with. We can talk about
Trump.
Including Trump, which I want to read that post.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's just go to that right now. I have it pulled up here. Well, first of all, let me show you the report that came out. The report was from The Blaze, stating FBI had 275 plainclothes agents embedded in January 6 crowds, congressional source says. Now, just by that headline, the first thing everybody's thinking is, oh my God, the FBI did it. The FBI pulled it off. And Trump himself, that's what he is basically saying. Trump, I think, is telling the truth here, but it's not what the report actually says. It was just revealed that the FBI had secretly placed, against all rules, regulations, protocols, and standards, 274 FBI agents into the crowd just prior to and during the January 6th hoax. This is different from what Director Christopher Wray stated over and over again. That's right. As it now turns out, FBI agents were at and in the January 6th protest, probably acting as agitators and insurrectionists, but certainly not as law enforcement officials. I want to know each and every one of these so-called agents are and what they were up to on that now historic day. Many great American patriots were made to pay a very big price only for the love of their country. I owe this investigation of dirty cops and crooked politicians to them. Christopher Wray, the then director of the FBI, has some major explaining to do. That's 2 in a row, Comey and Wray, who got caught lying with our great country at stake. We can never let this happen to America again. Now, based on just the initial story, that's what everybody's thinking. But if you actually go and read the damn report, which nobody ever does.
That's what you're for, John.
That's what I'm for. It never actually says that. This is where they're getting the number from. It says plainclothes in there one time in the entire 50-page report. And it's a FBI agent giving his comments about how politicized the agency has become. And he's like, we need to get back to what we are good at, which is plainclothes investigations. It's the only mention of it in there. It's not talking about J6. It's just like when you leave a little note in the box, what's it called? Suggestion box. It's essentially what it was. But this is the only part where it says 274, and it talks about the number of agents that responded to the Capitol grounds, as well as inside the Capitol, the pipe bombs and the red truck that was believed to contain explosives devices, as well as CDC and ADCs, which are something councils. Like, it's just legal teams. So this was not plainclothes embedded agents. It doesn't say it in the report. Everybody's running with it. And I believe Kash Patel today came out and also commented on this. I think there's a story on Fox News. I should have had this pulled up and ready to go too. But I don't know if you have any comment on it. I'm going to try to get, here we go. Oh no, that's not it.
Well, I would just say, look at the patterns. If this information is bad, if it doesn't mean what they're saying it means, we have the Blaze running with something a congressional source said, and then Donald Trump picking up on that Con Inc. narrative and blasting it out everywhere. So if you're right that these two things, that portrayal of what this says is inaccurate, what is Trump doing by spotlighting this thing and amplifying it?
Yeah, so there's two things that come to mind. One, like I said, he might not be wrong about what he's actually saying, and all these people might not be wrong about there being like this being some sort of false flag. I think we've always believed that was the case. January 5th, that memo that he put out where he's like, Antifa, I'm going to look into you for being a terrorist, terrorist organization. I think it was the second or third time that he talked about Antifa being a terrorist organization. That was him like signaling, like, I know what you're about to do tomorrow. He knew something was coming, whether it was FBI agents or CIA agents or, whoever it was directed by the enemy to cause chaos there. That was the goal. It was a false flag event. But this story coming out, it does kind of provide Kash Patel the opportunity to push back on Trump and the narrative. Like right now, what Trump is saying and what Kash Patel came out and said, they're at odds. Here, FBI Patel clarifies role of hundreds of agents on January 6th, says Wray lied to Congress. He says he responded to a report of the 274 plainclothes agents, clarifying the role of the personnel was while still blasting former director Christopher Wray. While the agents were on hand, they were sent in after the riot had begun to try and control the unruly crowd. So again, they were on a crowd control mission. They were not there as plainclothes agents embedded trying to sow chaos, as everybody thinks. Puts them at odds with the president. And maybe that's some optics they were going for, because one of the, a lot of people that are complaining about Kash Patel, they're kind of accusing him of being Trump's lapdog right now. I think there's other criticisms that could fairly be put forth. But anyway, that's the only two explanations I could think of. Is one, Trump wasn't necessarily lying. This was just a false report.
He put out a statement about Kash in the evening yesterday. He said, I'd like to thank Kash Patel and the outstanding members of the FBI for their brilliant work on the recent indictment of the worst FBI director in the history of our country, James Dirty Cop Comey. The level of enthusiasm by the FBI was incredible, but only caused by the fact that they knew Comey for what he is and was, a total slimeball. Again, thank you to the FBI and specifically those that worked on this case with U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan and the DOJ. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again, President DJT. So he's giving Kash a pat on the back last night, and now they're at odds today.
Yeah. The Comey thing is interesting too. My mind goes back to John Durham and my mind is still blown. I understand, there's legitimate strategic reasons why John Durham didn't bring an indictment back in at least September. I mean, he didn't bring an indictment for the leak itself, which I thought was absurd. You have the guy confessing to doing it. You have the middleman, and you have Comey. That's James Baker, James Rubicki, and Comey. They're all admitting to it. They all know what happened. They leaked classified information, and he doesn't bring a charge. That was
Comey didn't admit to it though, right?
Not Comey, sorry, but these two did.
Okay.
Baker and Rubicki did, and they both it was obvious that Comey directed it. That's why James Baker said he did it, according to Durham.
Okay, but that's from Baker and Rybicki, right? So if Comey didn't do it and they're both saying that he did, then we have a different scenario, don't we?
Potentially, but he just got indicted for lying to Congress about it. So
yeah, but, I mean,
they must have evidence that he was the one who did it. The grand jury found. Well, actually, technically,
maybe Congress submitted what they have as evidence, and that evidence was enough to get the indictment. But
actually, I think there was
kind of validate the evidence necessarily.
Let me show you something here.
We saw Trump get indicted for all sorts of things.
I'm pretty sure the grand jury in that case, they didn't actually agree to indict him on the first count, but they got him on the second one. If I remember, I'm pretty sure it was on court listener. Yeah, this is one. United States versus Comey. By the way, have you been playing around with the perplexity thing?
Not too much yet. No.
Oh, it's pretty interesting.
Is it?
Yeah, I like it. We'll talk about that next week. I think they're a sponsor, but I think, right here. Report of a grand jury's failure to, what's it called? Report of a grand jury's failure to concur in an indictment. As the foreperson of the grand jury of this court at a session held in Virginia, I report that 12 or more grand jurors did not concur in finding an indictment in count 1 only in this case. And count 1 is false statements within the jurisdiction. So they didn't all agree that he made a false statement, but it's still on here. But they did all agree on count 2, apparently, which is obstruction.
Yeah. So I don't know what to make of that.
Oh, wait, count 2 is false statements too. What the hell? I don't get the difference. False statements within the jurisdiction of the legislative branch. Count 2, false statements. How are these different?
Got me.
Maybe there are 2 different statements and they're saying, yeah, he did one, but not the other. Whatever. I'll check that out later. But anyway, yeah, Comey's finally indicted. If Durham had enough, right, and enough proof at least that he leaked it, by September, September 30th or 20th, whatever it was, then when he made the false statement, you would think at that point in time they could have gone after him. I mean, regardless whether or not there was game theory strategy, it's interesting that this comes back to Durham still. Like Durham's connected to this as well, just like he was the entire, Durham special counsel. He's got his hands all over this stuff. I think that's notable. I don't know why yet.
I think that I saw this on your feed the other day, but the first page of the Trump v. Clinton et al. Lawsuit, and you said like one down. I think that was you. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Durham as potentially a part of that. That's the kind of RICO Grande, the basis for the RICO Grande thing, and all of these other investigations kind of interlinking with that. Yeah, there you go. That's a lot of people above him on that list, though.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's not necessarily in order.
Sure,
but yeah, I think it's notable. This is just a good place to start. People are asking like, oh, who's going to be next? John Solomon is hinting at who's going to be next. I think you could look at James Baker. I mean, they're the most directly tied to Comey and all the John Does. That's all the corporations. I mean, there's a lot of people on this list.
Seems like there's the talk on the television is about John Bolton, and the name that jumps out to me on that list is Mark Elias, because he is on MSNBC panicking all the time.
Yeah, I saw Brennan on. I don't know if it was MSNBC or not, but he's like, I don't think they have enough to get me. Did you see that clip?
No.
I'll pull it up, but there's a comment I think you should address here. $20 from S. Dennis says, if Trump is reinforcing the Blaze article, it sounds like the wrap-up smear. Obviously, we use it too. It's an interesting way to phrase it.
Yeah, I guess I don't totally know what he means by that. Is it to manufacture consent and I should say consensus in this case, around the idea that J6 was an inside job? I mean, do people understand that and accept that yet? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even, inside job might even be overplaying what it was. I mean, much of it was staged. I've been recommending to people the last couple of days since this story came out to go check out the Woo's News videos. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah, I've seen some of those.
I mean,
they're interesting.
They're very compelling. I mean, some of what was filmed on J6 and then broadcast to the public, stuff with Ray Epps and, the breakdown of that little fence that they had. I mean, all that was totally staged.
Yeah.
They had different staging areas with like waters and stuff. And I know that plenty of real Americans went to this event. Some of them, I'm sure, got involved with some of the mayhem. Maybe their emotions got wrapped up. Maybe they thought something else was going on. But there is still the fake element. Doesn't matter how much of the organic element there was. Once you have funding, organization, the trickery and fakery of trying to pretend to be something that you're not, all of the bad actors in that situation, the ones staging it, were trying to look like Trump supporters and make MAGA supporters look bad.
Yeah. And I do think, regardless of whether or not Trump knew the report was legit, him telling that story, I think J6 connects to the RICO Grande investigation too. I think that's going to be part of it. And he's just, this is what they do. They constantly go through, like they have a list of all the items that are going to be included here, and they need to re-up the story in some way and keep it fresh in everybody's mind. And so they'll, whether it's a real story or not, it's a perfect narrative opportunity because, again, nobody actually goes and reads the documents for them to spark something up and get everybody talking about it again. So yeah, I get what he's saying about the pap smear thing, the pap up smear. I think it's perfect. But here's John Brennan's clip. Unless you want to add to that.
I was just gonna say, Brian and I talked about this a little bit on Daily yesterday, but having plainclothes FBI people there, as you said earlier, Trump knows something's coming on J6, putting a bunch of plainclothes people there to watch the actors staging various aspects of the quote unquote insurrection. That's the sort of thing that would make sense and kind of fit in the framework of what the report actually says, as you showed it a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah. I'd be more curious to see if there are any plainclothes like special ops people or military people there instead.
That'd be interesting as well.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a listen to this.
I don't see any case against me. I have looked back on all of my actions and decisions, and with John Durham, the special counsel, and others that have looked at what we did, that was certainly consistent with our legal authorities and with the law. So I don't know what they're referring to there. Individuals who used to work in the government, even if their security clearances were revoked, they could be subpoenaed. They could be, called to provide testimony in support of whatever allegations they have. I don't see a case there.
I think that settles it. I think he's innocent. He has reviewed his own actions and doesn't see a case. So I don't know how we go after him after that, man. I just don't see a path.
I like how they have like a disco man hosting the MSNBC show.
Oh, you mean this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, that is funny.
I mean, come on. It's getting so ridiculous. It's all getting so ridiculous. He's saying that he believes that his actions comport with the law, and they've hung their hat on that sort of thing for a really long time. And what they mean by that is all of the policies, the rules, the regulations, the statutes, and the court precedent that they've put in place. And I know we're going to talk about some of that later, but comporting with that law doesn't necessarily fly when you are outside of the system as the regime operates. And I think that we are seeing something I've talked about for a long time. I think something we've probably talked about many times on this show is Trump operating in two layering spaces at once. There's like the base level constitutional operations. He's got to be totally in line with the original Constitution in order to have that as an argument. This is what the founders intended, and at the same time, he's operating in that kind of abstract false layer over top of that, which is where the deep state and the administrative state have been built. And so he's kind of always operating on both levels at the same time. And I think that might be in play in something like this.
Yeah, it is really interesting. Like a lot of the things that he's done, and we've talked about this before, you just kind of alluded to it. He does things that they're almost controversial because they get challenged, they get sued right away. And then the Supreme Court comes in and is like, yes, he does have the authority to do that. He's pushing the boundaries and defining the boundaries of what his actual constitutional roles are. And that's something we're going to get into here. I don't want to get there quite yet.
Sure.
One thing that's kind of insane to me, like in hindsight, over the entire Russiagate, Spygate thing, is not just how much evidence these people left, like how much evidence there is of what these people did and the whole conspiracy itself, but how much of it is still coming out. And like all the declass, all the disclosures, we've talked about this too, they've had it this whole time, but it still kind of blows my mind. Like there's mountains of evidence, and these people are intel officials, we're told. Like these people know what evidence not to leave, and yet they left all of it. They left every of the evidence to be found. And it's all, and these people were supposedly in control and could have deleted all this stuff, yet it's still all there. It just blows my mind every time I think about
it. Yeah, somehow that happened.
Yeah. So it's retarded. These people are retarded.
Yeah. Well, it certainly also suggests some level of control over the fake and illegitimate Biden presidency.
Yep.
And it suggests some scripting and some timing on all this. And I think that we can see the coordination and timing with certain narratives and then certain events that we're told are actually happening in reality. These things are meant to converge so that the thing that's happening in reality helps as an explainer, allowing people to interact with the principles of this thing that happened before and the country needs to understand. So reruns.
Heck yeah, man. And speaking of some sort of control over the Biden term, this is a post from almost a week ago now, earlier in the week. We forgot to talk about Wednesday, but Trump actually posted the auto pen and put it up like in outside the White House, which I think is hysterical. And you can look at this as just him like trolling, but also this is more than just trolling. You know, this is a little soft disclosure. We haven't seen the end of the auto pen saga either. And I absolutely love this. To me, this is a soft devocom.
Yeah. I mean, I want to go all the way, though. If we stop at auto pen, and that's why Joe Biden's presidency was illegitimate, that's not getting all the way there. And if you wanted to protect the corrupt system as it exists, and I'm not talking about the system, right? The constitutional system is okay. Okay. It's not about tearing the whole thing down. It's about tearing down the illegitimate aspects, the deep state, the administrative state, and the corruption within the government. The people who want to protect that thing are probably going to be okay with the auto pen excuse, you know, because they lose some legislation or whatever. And they lose some pardons on people that they're happy to see walk the plank so they can move them off the board, put all the accountability on them. They'll become the scapegoats and the fall guys, and then they can just move on. So I think it is incumbent upon people who have been paying attention to this stuff for years to keep on pushing on this stuff.
Yeah.
Cheering on the auto pen is not the end goal of this thing. We can be like, cool, man, more people are going to realize how illegitimate everything Biden did was, but we don't cheerlead for that, right?
Yeah.
We say, very cool. I like that. That's going to help people understand this, but we need to go much farther.
Yeah. So you basically, the gauge you should choose here is Matt Walsh. When Matt Walsh is like, this is good, this is enough, you know that you're about 10 or 15 yards short of the end zone. And then you got to push a little further.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, we do got there's a comment in here I wanted to read again from S. Dennis, followed up, wrap up smear, 1, make an accusation, 2, get media to cover it, 3, cite the media as evidence of your claim. That's essentially what Trump did. And then S. Dennis, and I'm a chick, Dennis is my last name. So I hope we didn't misgender you. If we did, we probably don't apologize, but that happens. Yeah, so I don't think I have anything else on that. Maybe we could get into, I gotta find my list of topics for tonight. Oh, can I play this General Flynn clip? Because it's Flynn on Alex Jones, and I'm pretty sure he's talking about PEDs here, but I don't think he knows what PEDs are, and I find it really weird. Like, I'm sorry, it just popped up on my feed again, and I just gotta play it. We'll go to here.
Plan, and in the movie they produced about it, and they said they would do this if Trump got back in. So they said they're doing it. There's different operational plans, different subgroups that they can change, and it operates off of dates because a lot of low levels don't have the specifics. But that's why we're in maximum danger. They've brought us into this true national crisis of survival. They say he's a dictator because they know when they kick this off, the only move is going to be the main military crushing this. So that's where we are. So you said the president needs to have battle plans presented, ready, military ready to go. I know you've got to go, but just spend a few minutes on the specific powers and what we're facing here if they launch the hot coup.
Yeah, the president of the United States has powers. He has plans. They're called national security emergency orders.
National security emergency orders. Like there's no such thing as that. And by the way, I'm not trying to dog Flynn here. I just think I'm pretty sure he's talking about PEDs. And so the conversation is interesting and relevant. He's describing PEDs, like they're orders that are ready to go. And if a certain situation happens, like these things take place, and it gives the president all this authority, and nobody knows what those authorities are because none of these have actually been revealed to the public. they try to get access to them. I think back to my article that I wrote, Devolution 25. I may have just peed myself, where Trump changed the number of peds. Like, it's out there. And ever since that last review in 2017, we haven't had one of those reviews. They used to do that very often. We haven't had one in 8 years. Very weird. So we know they're used, or we know they're there. We know they exist. We don't know how many. We don't know what situations they're for. And it is interesting that Flynn is talking about it, even if he's doesn't know the name. Still weird, but anyway. Let me get back to my topics. Unless you had anything you wanted to add.
Nah.
Okay. What else were we going to talk about tonight? I had a whole bunch. Comey Indictment.
Yeah, we have so many things.
Let's do let's talk about the shutdown rug, because this has been this is the I think I can safely say this is now the closest we've been to a shutdown. I think we were closer potentially to reaching the debt ceiling. I think that happened like the day of that we finally passed the thing. But shutdown is different than the debt ceiling. This is we haven't assigned we haven't passed a bill for certain appropriations to fund certain programs, and so the government shuts down. Different than not having enough of a credit limit to pay shit down, whatever. We are 3 days away, and we're told neither side is willing to budge. The Democrats want to fund healthcare and all their whatever, like $1.5 trillion worth of stuff. And Trump and team is like, we're not even going to meet with you guys because that's absurd. And we're headed towards a shutdown. In the middle of it, Russ Vought comes out and is like, perfect. If you guys do shut down, we are going to do a reduction in force, not just furloughs, but we're going to fire everybody. And this is going to be a great opportunity for us to, shrink the government a little bit and save some money. So as you may, we'll continue forward with that. He sent out that email early in the week, and I don't know, man. It's probably rug. I'm not going to step on this rug, but also I would love to be right one of these times about that they can't kick the can down the road any further. Like, one of these times it's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about the convergence. One of the things that seems like it converges with this story in cycle after cycle is the TikTok deal. And so that got extended. Now we're looking at like mid-December or maybe early December for when that's going to be a wrap, or they'll extend it again. And this thing might get extended until about the same time so that they can try to maybe push it through.
Well, I think I'm confused. What do you mean extended? I thought they signed the deal.
Get another 3. Well, yes, but there's still an extension on that thing closing and being done, I think, so that so that TikTok doesn't have to be removed from the App Store or something. There was some extension that was announced like roughly at the same time that deal was.
Yeah. Maybe this to permit the divestiture to be completed. Yeah. The Attorney General shall not take any action for 120 days.
Wait, this is the old one though. No, because this is
the new one.
It is? Okay. I just saw January 2025 there.
Yeah. I think that was. Yeah, I mean, they must be referring to the old thing.
To the issuance of this order. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I just, these patterns repeating, both of these, I think, are really significant developments in where things are going. And so they're going to hit certain markers. And I would imagine that the ability to pull the trigger on either of these events is a leverage point for Donald Trump that he uses in negotiations. And so if you are the enemy wanting to stave off this moment for longer, you might be retreating and trying to negotiate for the smallest possible retreat at all times. I kind of think that that's what must be going on. If you think that Trump is kind of constantly in a negotiation with the enemy, and I think that, I mean, that's how I look at it. So seeing these things happen at the same time, I think is really interesting. But if the government shuts down, I mean, that's absolutely awesome. Trump has put it on the Democrats. Everybody believes it. They want healthcare for illegal aliens and transgender surgeries for everybody. And the vast majority of the country is against both of those things at this point. So if the government shuts down, Democrats are blamed for it. And then the federal government, their bureaucracy, the one thing they care about more than anything, if that goes away and they are blamed for it, that is going to be a bad look for them. So I think Trump has a lot of leverage.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm curious to see what actually happens here. I mean, I'm not saying the Democrats are stupid, but it would be stupid of them to actually allow Trump. I think a shutdown gives Trump everything he wants. Like that's Trump getting his cake and eating it too, because it's the perfect way to expose how bloated our government is. And they're going to need to fire a bunch of people. And he just got approval for the pocket rescissions. I wonder if they can do pocket rescissions while the government is shut down.
I mean, would you need to if the government's shut down?
Probably not, but also I guess it depends. Congress would still probably be there, negotiating. But if they're not in full session, can they vote on that? And so can he just do like a whole bunch of pocket rescissions while they're not really in session and just get rid of it? Because there's a difference in the shutdown and within the shutdown, there are certain stuff that's still appropriated no matter what. Like it's already there, it's already funded, it's going to keep being funded. And there are programs that are still in place permanently, whatever that means. The stuff that gets shut down is all the stuff that wasn't appropriated in HR 1 that needs to be appropriated every year, the annual appropriation stuff. So he could pocket rescind a bunch of the permanent stuff too, with them not being in session.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that would work on a technical level. I do think that the Congress is illegitimate. Like I really believe that. That's not me using a euphemism. And so I think at some point it actually does have to be shut down and not brought back. So I'm hopeful that happens the sooner the better. But listen, I'm not trying to say on Tuesday that's going to happen. This is something that I think should happen, and I hope that it does happen at some point. I don't know that we're going to get there, but
yeah, I think we're waiting on one of these days. We're going to get. Remember 13961? They ordered a review of it, and I think we've passed that date. Let me find that. Sorry, I just thought of this when you were talking about TikTok.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't thought
about
it.
Within 180 days of this order, the app's not. Let me find 13961. Okay, yeah, national continuity policy. Within 180 days of this order, they're going to review policies recommended for modification. And remember, this is the one that Biden issued that partial revocation of. And this was signed what date? March 18th.
So that would have been, I don't know,
September 18th, right?
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, September 14th. So we're almost 2 weeks past getting an update on that. I'm curious to see. Maybe that's what that NSPM is that we don't know.
That's very interesting.
Maybe it's NSPM 6. Interesting. Sorry, that was kind of way off topic, but should we talk about that the pocket rescission thing?
Yeah, sure.
I don't even know if I have anything pulled up on it. I'm more so interested in what you had found with Clarence Thomas. And what he said.
Yeah, I think that they're of a part. And it's something, again, that we've been talking about for a couple of years now. The idea that Trump is going to kind of instigate these various lawsuits, do things that the regime is going to want to contest because he is violating their standards and their norms and their precedents and the way that they have manipulated the system to provide them all of these loopholes through which they exploit the government and the rest of it. Trump does the thing he's not supposed to do. And the thing he's not supposed to do just does happen to align with the Constitution. So it kind of blunts their ability to stop him, because the way they would stop him is get the courts to tell him he can't do it anymore. But we've already gotten through that problem in the last Supreme Court session. getting rid of the ability for these federal courts to issue nationwide injunctions against what the president is trying to do. So that no longer works. They have to find some other stage to attempt to stop him and then tell the country the court said he's not allowed to do this. And with any other presidency, they would have stopped at that point. Trump's like, okay, well, fine. Let's appeal this all the way to the Supreme Court. Let's fight about the constitutional issue. Let's let the country know what we're doing. And then at the end of that, we're going to get the decision that I actually do have the presidential power to do this.
Yeah. So let me read. I'm going to read two things here. First, where is it at? Right here. Let's read this one. And it's the actual. Dang it, I lost it. I'm a mess tonight, man.
I think you're doing great.
Thanks. You're a tad biased. So
yeah.
Okay, this is it.
But I'm also the harshest critic.
That's true. Actually, I'm my own harshest critic.
There you go.
But here's I just want to read this page from the actual ruling. On September 3rd, my glasses, the United States District Court for the District of Columbia entered a preliminary injunction directing the executive to obligate roughly $10.5 billion of appropriated aid funding set to expire on September 30th, which is just insane that they are trying to force them to spend money in the first place. Of that $10.5 billion, $4 billion was proposed to be rescinded in a special message transmitted pursuant to the Impoundment Control Act, which we had a great episode on that a little while ago. After the District Court and the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit denied stays on that order, the government filed this application to stay the District Court's injunction. The application for stay presented the Chief Justice and by him referred to the court is granted. The government at this early stage has made a sufficient showing that the Impoundment Control Act precludes respondent's suit brought pursuant to the Administrative Procedure Act to enforce the appropriations at issue here. The government has also made a sufficient showing that mandamus relief is unavailable to respondents, and on the record before the court, the asserted harms to the executive's conduct of foreign affairs appear to outweigh the potential harm faced by respondents. That is a banger of a line. This order should not be read as a final determination on the merits. The relief granted by the court today reflects our preliminary review consistent with the standards for interim relief. And then that's probably all I need to read on that. Why does it say tits right here? Anyway, okay, but then the other article,
no less.
Yeah. Weird. Of all the things, that's what my eyes went to. Let's talk about this article here, because this is also a pretty banger of an article about Justice Clarence Thomas. The conservative justice wants to overturn cases wrongly decided in his view. He says legal precedents are not the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
Justice Clarence Thomas and the Supreme Court should take a more critical approach to settled precedent, saying decided cases are not the gospel and suggesting some may have been based on something somebody dreamt up and others went along with. Thomas made the comments during a rare public appearance Thursday evening at Catholic University's Columbus School of Law in Washington, D.C. The court is poised to revisit Humphrey's Executor versus U.S., a 90-year precedent that limits the president's ability to remove members of some independent federal agencies without cause.
There's no such thing as an independent agency. It's always important to remember that.
Yeah, so that's going to be a good one to see them overturn.
Yep.
The justices will also consider whether to overturn Thornburg v. Gingles, a landmark 1986 decision governing the use of race in redistricting under the Voting Rights Act. I wonder if that'll do anything with our elections.
You got to wonder if that's linked to the whole redistricting thing that we used to hear about every single day for like 3 weeks a month ago, and now we don't hear about ever at all.
Yeah. There was another one. I did some research. I don't think they talk about it in this article, but I think it's New York Times v. Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a libel and slander case. Yeah, Justice Clarence Thomas has repeatedly called for the Supreme Court to reconsider or overturn New York Times v. Sullivan, the landmark 1964 decision that established strong First Amendment protections against libel suits brought by public officials and later by public figures. Thomas argues that Sullivan's standard, which requires public officials to prove actual malice, that false statements were made knowingly or with reckless disregard for the truth, was not grounded in the original understanding of the Constitution and was the result of what he sees as policy-driven choices disguised as constitutional law. I would love to see that one.
Yeah.
Overturned.
And the gay marriage one, it's still on screen from the ABC article.
Oh, whoops.
So these are a lot of those are a lot of important decisions. And what's at stake here? And I don't know if you want to keep reading, but he goes
They're gonna
into
look at the gay marriage one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that paragraph right there, at some point, this is where we get into the important business.
Yeah. I can read through some more of this.
Yeah, let's do it.
At some point, we need to think about what we're doing with stare decisis, Thomas said Thursday, referring to the legal principle of abiding by previous decisions. And it's not some sort of talismanic deal where you can just say stare decisis and not think, turn off the brain, right? The court's senior conservative suggested that some members of the court over the years have blindly followed prior judgments, comparing them to passengers on a train. We never go to the front, see who's driving the train, where is it going? You could go up there and in the engine room, find it's an orangutan driving the train, but you want to follow that just because it's a train, Thomas said. That's an amazing quote. We should figure out a way to put that on a t-shirt. Like something about orangutans driving trains.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I have the gospel, he said, that any of these cases that have been decided are the gospel. And I do give perspective to the precedent, but it should. The precedent should be respectful of our legal tradition and our country and our laws and be based on something, not just something somebody dreamt up and others went along with.
And, judicial review might fall under that category as well. So
Ooh.
The power of the courts and, the Supreme Court is historically loath to limit their own power, but you never know. We are in that phase, I believe, of going back to the original Constitution. And why wouldn't he be? Oh. Man.
Nice
For
to
all the
too.
people on the audio version, a comment in the YouTube chat said John was always nice to me, unlike to BB.
BB just talks so much and it eventually gets on my nerves, and then
He was hilarious the other night.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah. But anyhow, so a lot of that precedent is in conflict with the original Constitution. And as soon as, if stare decisis is in place, then as soon as a precedent like that is established, some judge kind of going way beyond the bounds, then that decision never going to the Supreme Court and getting overturned, for instance, or something at the Supreme Court happening, or the rest of it. It's like, okay, well, we got this one decision. Now we've created a right. We've created law. I had this quote from Elena Kagan in the arguments for the birthright citizenship case, which decided the end of the nationwide injunctions. And she says just unequivocally, she's talking about the court making law. The court doesn't make law. And they believe that they can do that through precedent, because as soon as they decide the precedent, well, that's the new law. All the other courts have to abide by their precedent. And then that's that. And that is just untenable, because a lot of that precedent is in conflict with the Constitution. And it is every judge's duty to apply the Constitution to their decisions. They are not allowed to go outside the bounds of that.
Yeah, I think the quote was, she argued that the court should refrain from making law, but should interpret and apply the Constitution, especially concerning fundamental rights like birthright citizenship, which is strong historical textual grounding.
Wait, is that Kagan from the thing? I'll find the video. It's crazy.
Yeah, if you can find
I think that there's more than that.
Yeah, if you can find the video, that'd be great. But I mean, this is the opportunity, and I love what Thomas is thinking, and I totally agree, especially over the past, however long it's been, since 1871. We've gone so off track, off Constitution, in my opinion. The train has been derailed, and it's been driven by a orangutan. That's why it's been derailed, and we got to get back somehow. I just feel like we again, this always comes to my mind when we're talking about any of this stuff. I feel like we don't have enough time. I feel like there's so many things that we need to do yet in all these different areas. And because we're choosing to do it, and Trump is choosing to do this in the normie battle space, we have so much to do. And people are being so stupid online that it's pulling us back. They're the parachute behind the train.
Don't you think a lot of people are kind of wondering why everything is so stupid online?
Not that I'm seeing.
Okay.
I don't think people. I think to my text group, my buddies, like my golf buddies, they don't talk about any of this stuff. They haven't said a word about Charlie Kirk other than when he died. They're like, oh man, maybe rest in peace. Like they don't care. They have no personal attachment to Charlie.
Are they mostly checked out from politics, or they're still into it and they're okay?
They get into it a little bit around like election time, but ever since the election, like we used to talk a lot. We used to exchange quite a bit of texts pre-election. Once Trump won, we don't talk about any of that stuff. We talk about economy stuff sometimes. And
I have some friends like that too. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about sports stuff. We'll talk about Carson Wentz leading the Vikings to a Super Bowl, because that's going to happen.
Man, we have to get up early and watch football tomorrow.
I know. My son is so excited.
That'll be fun.
This is so stupid. Why are we playing games in other countries?
I don't know.
That is not America first. Trump needs to sign an executive order on that.
And you know, it's interesting. Rooney, the prior Rooney that owned the Steelers, was the ambassador to Ireland under Barack Obama.
No way.
Yep. And now the team is going to Ireland to play a game.
Well, and the Vikings, they have 2 weeks in a row. They're playing in Ireland, and then they're playing in like, I don't know, Germany or something.
That is awful. Why are they doing that?
I don't know. Let me double check that. I don't want to be wrong. Yeah, they're playing Dublin, Ireland against the Steelers, and then they're playing in London against the Browns. But it is kind of nice. They're 2 road games that don't actually count as road games.
They do
count as road games, but they're not actually at like the Steelers or the Browns.
Right. And at least they're not losing their home games. And I think the Steelers did lose a home game. Yeah. Kagan is that Kagan clip is right there.
Okay. There are going to be like an untold number of people who, according to all the law that this court has ever made, ought to be citizens who are not being treated as such.
All the law this court has ever made.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
Absurd. Do you think Trump will get another SCOTUS pick before he's all said and done? Or they give him super
old? I'm hopeful that he gets 4 or 5 more.
Yeah, but I mean that's probably not realistic. Like what are the ages of the Supreme Court? SCOTUS?
Well, I mean, they wouldn't retire for age. They would leave because they were appointed by one was appointed by an illegitimate president. And then who knows about Barack Obama, if we get to the birth certificate stuff and the rest of it, how much of that presidency can be just kind of wiped off the board. We should be able to all agree that stuff should happen, right?
Yeah.
If we weren't dealing with the information space as it exists, all of those things are possible. You know, I mentioned them because I think that it's important to have some goals out there that like express ideals and the desire to have things done the right way so that there is something to aim for. You know, it's not Scott. It might sound like pie in the sky right now, but if there is a considerable shift in the collective consciousness and some of these various events are bringing us that way to some extent. I mean, the approval for Trump now versus the approval for Trump at this point in his first term, so much more of the country understands what he is intending to do. So much more of the country is on board. At some point, we're going to hit a tipping point where a lot more things become possible. And so I think it's important to set our standards of what we expect to be much further down the track than we are setting them if we keep playing at the speed of the television.
Have you ever thought of like compiling a list of the things, like the goals that you actually, what do they say about goals? You need to be smart, like you need to be simple, manageable, whatever. I don't know what that list is. I never did my goals that way, but I think that's a really good idea. Like things that we need to see accomplished. Number one for me would be elections. We need to address that. But yeah, we should come up with a list like that. And once you fix elections and realize how illegitimate a lot of our government is and has been, then you can start getting into the things that tail off of that, like Supreme Court picks and whatnot, going down the line. That's interesting, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was aiming for when we were talking about the style of panels we would do for the Vegas thing. You know, the forward-looking thing. This is what we're thinking is coming in the future. Maybe that is a kind of a better way to frame the concept in general. Like, what are these ideals we are attempting to achieve in the future?
Yeah, I like that. We had good panels in Vegas.
Yeah,
but we didn't quite. You're right. We didn't quite nail it. If that was your intention, we did get a good rant here from Boom Diggity, stating, "Who is Brillen Hollyhand?" and shared this clip.
Wow.
Sir, it's ready. He will be our greatest ally in our fight to control the narrative.
Have you seen any of this stuff? I've barely seen. I've seen a couple clips of this kid. Is he like the next Charlie Kirk?
That's what they're trying to do. Yeah. And apparently he was on TV an hour after the trauma event, talking about how he was going to carry the torch.
Wow.
Yeah. It really does look like they built that guy in a lab. And man, oh man, I mean, it's so preposterous. Did you see this thing yesterday with the private jet?
Was it? I saw a picture like this right here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Was there a video?
I don't know if there was a video. I haven't watched too much of that, but he's been on like Hannity, and I think he was on Ben Shapiro. Yeah, they're trying to elevate these characters to. Did you see the TikTok video of the influencer? I guess Bibi Netanyahu had an event with like 100 young like Zoomer influencers.
Who did?
And Netanyahu.
I didn't see that. You should find that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I do have the clip of him in the plane. I want to play this actually because I don't think I've ever actually listened to this kid talk. And how is he in a private jet?
He said it's he needed to get 10 hours away, I guess, driving, and a friend of his had it. So it's not his jet. He wanted us to know.
Wow.
What's up, America? Rylan Hollyhand here, about 30,000 feet up. We are on the way to Arkansas. So everybody in line at the University of Arkansas to kick off my 10-stop campus tour. We are coming to you right here, right now. Stay in line. We have gotten a third room because we have sold out this campus stop 3 times. But we are coming to you. We will fit you in. Students will get priority, but we will make it happen. I cannot be more excited. We are back. We are on the road. We're coming to you one conversation at a time. If you're not at the University of Arkansas, we're coming to a campus near you soon. So check out my tour dates. We'll see you super soon.
Where is that accent from?
I don't know, but how long until it's confirmed he's dating Scott Pressler? I'm pretty sure he's gay. I'm pretty sure that's.
It does seem that way.
That's the reference. Okay. Oh, here we go. Shipwreck show.
It would be hilarious if they made our next leader gay. They'd be like, "Hey guys, here's your next leader on the television."
Well, I feel like they've tried that with multiple different people, and it just hasn't stuck. Dave Rubin, they tried him.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's gay, and like they had him and Charlie Kirk do a thing where Charlie Kirk was like, "I don't care how gay you are, you're still like." Did you ever see that?
No.
Oh,
no.
It was really gay. But anyway,
Dave
this is
Rubin
the video.
A gay dad.
Well, yeah, Glenn Greenwald.
Yep. Ooh.
The walk away guy. Whatever his name is.
Straka.
Yep.
This you might as well put it at like 1.25 or something. We don't need to go through all.
What's the
maybe
context
started
here?
like 30 seconds in. So she had a meeting with Netanyahu, as it says up there.
And who is this?
Some TikTok influencer.
Okay, I'll just play it and we'll stop when we get bored.
Yesterday,
Just the
I got
better
the honor-
stuff's closer.
Okay,
to
I'm
the
already
end.
bored.
Yeah.
What?
Just skip ahead a little bit. We don't need to watch the whole thing, but you can listen to her explain some of what Netanyahu told them. Oh, hey, there's rumors about AIPAC. Well, let me explain to you.
To us and took in our criticisms. I'm truly hoping that you guys will listen to the answer. AIPAC is something that I see all the time. Number one, AIPAC is not an Israeli organization. It has no ties whatsoever to the government of Israel. It's not foreign lobbying. It's a lobbyist group that happens to be lobbying for a certain group of people, right? And this is not unique to Israel. There are multiple countries that do this, and there's multiple different groups that do this. For some reason, people just attach on to AIPAC, despite the fact that AIPAC makes up less than 5% of the lobbying. So if you have a problem with lobbying like me, that's totally fine. I'm against AIPAC because I'm against lobbying. But you can't just hone in on one specific group. If you're going to be against it, then be against it for everybody. Moving on from that, we were asking questions about these rumors that Israel has been going out and funding people. And no, none of us were paid for that meeting. But I wish, Phoebe, if you want to write the 150 million check, go for it. But we asked about funding. And as he explained, Israel is not offering to fund anybody. They're not trying to get involved in American political advocacy groups. That has never happened. And if you're concerned about this, who you should be concerned about is Qatar, because they are doing this. They are going out and funding these universities and these political organizations. Many of these protests/riots that you see destroying our cities, a lot of that has foreign funding from Qatar. And yet people are silent about it, or they're pointing the finger at Israel for something that they're not even doing. The last thing that we really touched on was the aid. People don't know this, but Netanyahu's first address to Congress was to say that they didn't want aid. Jimmy Carter, who is a notoriously anti-Israel president, is actually who started this because he saw that Israel was building.
Yeah. So the one thing I've learned over the years is like, if you have to go out and publicly like constantly talk and tell a story and remind people and they're the bad guys. Those guys are the bad guys. These guys are the bad guys. It's not us. We didn't do anything wrong. Those guys are the bad guys. Those are the guilty people. Those are the guiltiest people. The ones that are just sitting there kind of silently, not doing anything. Like they call Carlson, I'm pretty sure. That's an interesting name. And I think there was a thing where somebody from Qatar paid an agency to line up the Carlson interview. And you guys know how I've been yelled at so many times for how critical I am of Tucker Carlson. And I'm willing to defend him not being funded by Qatar. As far as I know, I could be wrong. But it's weird. There's this weird, these factions have formed. And the dividing line is Israel. And the influencer thing is so interesting to me because we're in this space, right? And I don't think we've ever been approached. There's one email I got once about some guy was like, oh, I should see if I can find the email I got. Because when I showed you guys and I responded, I was like kind of making fun of the go-kart thing, flying go-kart. But anyway, the Tim Pool is the one that was the point I was trying to make. He admitted to getting invited to one of these influencer meetings. And yeah, I'm just curious. I would love to actually see how much money flows through some of these influencers from Israel for these.
She says she didn't get paid at all, but she might as well be reading a script. I'm sure that they gave talking points. These are the talking points. You can hear Ted Cruz make some of those talking points, repeat some of those talking points in the interview with Tucker Carlson. Like the thing about AIPAC. AIPAC's not even like connected to Israel. It's an American lobbying group. And there are all sorts of foreign countries that do lobbying. Like, okay, well, are they all regime proxy states that are protected by American might?
Yeah. Here we go. I got that email. And I don't know if I want to like dox the guy. I won't dox his email anyway.
Yeah, don't do that.
I'll just read it. Yeah. Hi, my name is this. I'm a producer with this company, a production company fighting the liberal bias of the mainstream media by focusing on conservative causes. They're talking about how they tackle border crisis head on, specifically Nicaragua MS-13. We want to show through interviews, surveillance footage, and boots on the ground action that we must still be vigilant to confront the crisis. That's why we're working with decorated members of the IDF and the Israel Foreign Threat Commission, literally the world's foremost experts on combating terror, for a portion of this project. That's where you come in. We would like to invite you to join us for a film discussion about the border crisis, as well as an opportunity to learn hands-on counterterrorism techniques from one of Israel's most elite defense experts who has trained counterterrorism units across the world. And then, would you like to follow up? And I just responded with, I'll see if I can get my comment in here without showing his thing. Here Will the hands-on counterterrorism training include teaching me how to defend myself against flying go-karts? And he never responded.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Did you hear Bibi talking about the intelligence that Israel shares? And if you think of intelligence just as script writing for psyops about events that never happened, it starts becoming like in that framing, these comments become really interesting. So he said this what was it?
Is it
Thursday at the UN, or was it? No, it was yesterday, I think. Do you see that right there? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, here we go.
To tell you a secret. Behind closed doors, many of the leaders who publicly condemn us privately thank us. They tell me how much they value Israel's superb intelligence services that have prevented time and again terrorist attacks in their capitals, time and again saving countless lives. General George Keegan, former head of U.S. Air Force Intelligence, once said, if the United States had to gather on its own the intelligence that Israel gives us, we would have to establish 5 CIAs. 5 CIAs.
Oh, it's a lot of CIAs.
This past June, when Israel struck Iran's nuclear facilities, German Chancellor Merz admitted the truth. He said, Israel is doing the dirty work for all of us. President Trump understands better than any other leader that Israel and America face a common threat. He showed the world.
Jews. Anyway.
Sorry. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
There's an old clip of him when he called, you've heard of Five Eyes. Israel's the sixth eye. You ever see that?
I think so, but I don't know.
Let me play this.
We produce intel that is invaluable for the United States. Five Eyes, Patrick? You know what that is? You know all these countries that are part of the American intelligence system? Well, there's a sixth eye, Israel. It's a very powerful eye, and we share our intel with the American intelligence services. And that's why the bond is so strong. It's not only a bond of values of our common Judeo-Christian civilization, and it is really a war of civilization against the barbarians that we're fighting, but it's also a bond of utility, of great success. That partnership is very, very strong. I know it's challenged all the time, but it's very, very strong. And you should talk to some of the people in the higher places in the Pentagon. I wish you could talk to the people who share our intelligence or the weapon systems that we share. I think that you'll discover that they appreciate, as we appreciate enormously what America gives to us, and they appreciate what Israel gives to America.
You know, speaking of this, I would like to pick your brain a little bit on the Pentagon meeting that Hegseth called with the 800 military government or military leaders, whatever. But before we do, I think we should get a quick word from our final sponsor of tonight's show and allow me the opportunity to go potty. So let's listen, get a word in from Soft Disclosure.
Deodorant should do more than cover you up. It should protect you all day long.
Dude, the deodorant stick is legit. I like the mint one. And, you know, you go work out and you kind of get like, you know, you get funky if you work out. Dude, like at the end of my workout, like I'm sweating, shirt got all those sweat. Like I'm like, dude, I still smell good. Like I absolutely love it. If you guys haven't tried it, try it.
That's the difference with Soft Disclosure. No aluminum, no chemicals, just clean, natural ingredients that fight odor and keep you fresh through every workout, every meeting, every moment.
I've always struggled with the, like, you can't use aluminum deodorant because you're going to die if you use it kind of thing, because all of the non-aluminum deodorant products suck pretty much. Yeah. This is different. This is all day. You're all day good, and you're not putting any of that disgusting chemicals right near your lymph nodes.
Soft Disclosure deodorant, real protection, real freshness, built on truth. Available in mint and lemon grapefruit. Visit softdisclosure.com and use promo code Badlands for 15% off.
Soft Disclosure.
Nice. Oh, I thought you were just saying soft disclosure. I thought you were already back. I was looking at the chat.
Oh.
And it was just your whisper from the commercial.
Yeah. Soft disclosure. That was me.
There you go.
Okay, let's talk about this. So the story came out, and I don't even have it pulled up. I should probably do that. Hegseth meeting. Hegseth has called like all the top generals, over 800 of them, and their advisors to come to Quantico for some meeting. Trump and Vance, I think, came out and just said they're touring military facilities or something. They need to give tours to people. I don't know if you saw those comments
from the Oval Office, right?
Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy that. This whole thing is weird, and some people are like, "Oh, it's probably because of the shutdown." I don't buy that either. Like, there's nothing. Well, here, let me put it this way: the military has available to itself all the best technology. Like, if there was something that needed to be said having to do with the shutdown or touring a facility of weapons or something like that, they could hypothetically just send an email through or have a phone call, have a video conference call, whatever, to talk about that stuff. But to me, it's like that doesn't pass the sniff test. Like, whatever this is, and maybe this is just me overthinking it, totally possible. It's something that they do not want to discuss in any other fashion than like face to face. It doesn't make sense that it's regarded to a specific conflict either, because like if it just has to do with Venezuela, you don't need to bring in the people from, China or India or what is it, Pacific Com and European Command, like all these different combatant commanders. You don't need to bring all those people in for a face-to-face meeting about a specific geographic conflict when you have one specific combatant commander there and everything they control. You just meet with those leaders. They're bringing everybody in. So I don't know. I mean, we could speculate all day long. We may never find out what it's actually about. It's interesting. It hasn't leaked yet. That's pretty rare. And I don't know. I don't know what else. I don't know what it could be.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe it has something to do with the shutdown. Just the timing is right there, right? If we shut down, what would the response be from the regime if they're worried about losing all of these employees in the federal government? I mean, they really do depend on the administrative state to essentially operate their entire system. So that could be a crisis point for them. Do they want to, they're going to need some way to reverse the responsibility for a shutdown onto Trump. You could imagine chaos in the streets if they're still able to generate that sort of thing. Maybe this is optically another kind of statement like Donald Trump having the military parade that says these guys really are on my side as commander in chief. So that's what I thought, but I don't know. You could be totally right that it has nothing to do with the shutdown.
I mean, they're saying now, and I just saw this when I was reading through the article here, that he's going to deliver his message of restoring the warrior ethos to the U.S. military and present new standards towards that goal. Again, this just doesn't pass the sniff test, because that's something that if he wanted to, he could go to them and give his speech. He could do a Zoom call again and give that speech. This gives me very much the vibes of what Christopher Miller did as the lame duck acting Secretary of Defense, where he had to go to all the combatant commanders and just to look them in the eye and get a read on the people's soul or whatever, for whatever reason. Like, why would you need to do that? You could have just called him. But for some reason, he wanted to sit down face to face. Him and Kash Patel were flying all over the place between November 10th when he got put in there and January 20th. And I think that was weird. That was notable. And I think that was something devolution related. I'm not trying to say that necessarily that this is devolution related. I have no idea what this is. But the explanations I'm getting and I'm being told do not make logical sense to me in today's day and age. So I don't know. Something's just off. There's something weird. If it's shutdown related too, I was doing some research on, I think it was back in 2013 was potentially the last shutdown. I mean, no, I guess 2018 when we had Trump, when Trump was in there, but before that was 2013. And there were some congressional research service reports talking about it and what happens during a shutdown for the military and who gets paid. Anybody in an active war zone, they continue with that mission. That doesn't stop. The retirement policies don't stop. Anything having to do with counterterrorism doesn't stop. It's basically just the civilian side of things that sees majority of the cuts, which makes sense. But for the most part, I mean, the military doesn't really slow down or stop its role, which honestly, that's the more constitutional form of our federal government that we should have. It should just be national security and counterterrorism. All the rest of it's fluff.
Yeah, I mean, and as we've talked about before, I think that there's at least some chance we're just under military government, and that military government just might be the way of the world. You know, you really do have to have the real power on your side to be a leader of a nation. And are they going to hand that power over to people whose intent is to subvert the nation? And then the question becomes, do they have to do that because they don't want to be a certain kind of government? And then what is the people's role in understanding the nature of their existence in the country and what the nature of the country's existence is? But, you know, you have to have an army. If nations present military threats to one another, the military has to make sure that they're able to deal with those threats, regardless of who's in office, just as a matter of how the real world works.
Yeah, I like that. Anyway, I think that's all the topics I had. Is there anything else you want to talk about? There is one new True Social video from John Solomon that Trump posted. I don't know if you've seen this. We could probably play this. I'm assuming it has to do with Comey and the FBI and stuff.
Yeah. And then there was kind of those interesting comments with Rudy about on Bannon the other day about the RICO thing. Do you have that? I think I have that.
You get that pulled up. I'm going to play this because I think this may be similar.
I want to talk a little bit about accountability and FBI. Tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up to a major story at Just the News. It answers a question that we've tried to pose for the last 5 years. Did FBI agents themselves believe the FBI had become biased? Tomorrow, you're going to see not one, not two, not five, not 10, but scores of FBI agents.
Yeah, so he's talking about the 274 agent story. So we don't need to play that, but let's play your video instead.
Indictment is a giveaway in the history of indictments. I think I know them pretty well. You see how short it is? So you might think as a defendant, I get a little short indictment like that. That's terrific. That's if he committed one crime once. That is a preface, not even an introduction, to the major War and Peace novel that the indictment will become. They're beginning with him, maybe because of the time pressure. I mean, she can't be immune to the fact that there's pressure on her. I might think it's unfair because I'm a prosecutor, and I don't know what good it is to push prosecutors, but this definitely is a result of the president pushing her a little. And it's a good indictment, don't get me wrong. It's a good case, but it's rather small in the big scheme of things. You've got a case that could be 3 times as broad as the original Biden RICO case that I outlined in my book. It could be that case plus 2 others all in one RICO case. Think of RICO as a novel with 7 or 8 chapters. Each chapter, a different crime, different predicates, and a different set of penalties. Plus, here's the benefit of RICO, Steve. You can take the money away. So if you want to diffuse some of these, let's say, hypothetically, let's say that people were funding Antifa, Black Lives Matter to do those riots. You could bankrupt those operations. You could take their present accounts, and then you could spend the next 10 years tracing all their accounts and taking everything else. Case in point, the Teamsters. Joe DeGenova, your friend, and I did that to the Teamsters. We spent 10 years, went on after me, after him, and we took all their money out of the Central States Pension Fund, which took all their money out of Las Vegas, which took all their money away from them, which is why they're a pathetic, silly group of old men now and wannabes. You could do that to the criminal money in the Democrat Party. You could find it all and get rid of it, because with it all being contributed to illegally trying to stop Trump and then trying to unlawfully remove a lawfully elected president, which gets about as close to.
Anyway,
interesting. I think that fits photo. We were talking about earlier how the Antifa and domestic terrorism thing ties into the RICO Grande, but didn't he just settle with Dominion today?
Yes, which I think is really interesting because there's that Venezuela whistleblower thing that we're going to hear about in the Tina Peters trial, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know how much stock I put in that.
I don't put any stock
really
in
don't put
anybody
any
who
stock in it
does.
at all.
Who does, like, that could be anybody. That could be literally anybody who goes behind, like, not going to show an identity, not going to show face, not the same voice or anything. We have no reason or idea whether that person actually worked for Smartmatic or whatever. Like, there's so many questions I have. But also, I saw today that Mike Lindell was found guilty of defamation, or the judge said that he was liable for defamation of Dominion or Smartmatic, but they haven't talked about whether there's actual malice or whatever yet.
Yeah. So that's only half of they're only half the way there. And Mike Lindell is declaring very clearly that he actually believes what he's saying. So there cannot be malice because he's 100%. He believes that he was just being honest about something that happened. And maybe he's right. And just to be clear for the audience, like, I don't think, I can only speak for myself, but I don't think you were implying anything about the Tina Peters element of that. Just the Venezuela connection. I'm not even doubting that Venezuela that the former Venezuela government had something to do with Smartmatic, with rigging elections and all the rest of it. But I don't think that it's just going to be that cut and dry. Maybe this is like the auto pen of election fraud. We have the Venezuela, we're going to go to war with the drug boats down in Venezuela. Well, Venezuela's going after those drug gangs and the cartels as well.
Yeah.
There's the Trump and Maduro thing, which I think is just for show, as he does with some other people. I mean, he posted on Truth Social the other day that video of supposedly the Venezuelan Citizens Brigade training.
That's so funny.
And it was like that big fat lady running around with a gun.
Yeah.
If Trump's joking about it, then it immediately in your mind has to move away from this is a real war that might happen to this is exactly the same as the little rocket man phase during the first term.
Yeah, I want to go back to the Tina Peters thing too, because actually it was the day the video came out that morning. I got a text from Tina Peters' phone, and I was like, she's like, "Hey, I don't remember what it said. It was something like tune in to the show and send a link or whatever." And I was like, "Is this Tina Peters? Aren't you in jail? Like, or is this somebody with her phone?" He's like, "Oh, this is her friend or whatever." And so I was like looking forward to the video, but the reason I don't put stock into it is all the things I said before, but also like what that person was claiming is not like new information. It's what everybody already believes. So I was like, okay, already believe that, already thought that, already kind of knew that. But then the second part of it is like, if it's a legit person saying those things and considering the things they're saying and the implications of what they're saying, you would have to imagine there would be somewhere or somebody like President Trump maybe, who basically had his life torn apart, we're told, because of his election claims. You think maybe that guy as president right now would immediately put that person in some sort of protective custody, put him in the Lincoln bedroom, with the really nice ceilings or whatever that he always talks about?
Move him in as his roommate?
Yeah. You think they could probably get some security on that guy.
Yeah.
So I'm just skeptical. Like, I don't trust anything that doesn't put their face on it. Like, if you're not going to put your face on it, that I can verify that you actually worked where you're claiming you worked and would know the things that you're claiming to know, it's hard for me to put stock into that. And again, that has nothing to do with Tina Peters. It's the team putting it out, and they're obviously fighting that case, and maybe it does go somewhere. I hope it does. I hope we find out the identity of this person and she gets out and we get our election systems exposed. I'm just not going to get on that particular rug.
Sure.
So anyway, with that, man, what do you say we get to some boosts?
Let's do it.
And we did have a couple early Rumble rants, and one of them I want to read in particular because it has to do with what I'm going to say next, and that is from Micro Toolmaker, who started the show off with a $55 rant. And he said, got my Cocoa Beach GART tickets. Nothing can stop what is coming. And I wanted to remind you guys that November 6th through the 9th in Cocoa Beach, Florida, we are holding our next Great American Restoration Tour event, GART 10. Going to be awesome. This venue is great. The people are great. It's going to be a pretty big one. That's what she said, I believe. So I would encourage you guys to get your tickets if you haven't yet. I can't guarantee single day tickets will go on sale. There's a few people who've reached out. We'll work that out later. But for a majority of people, I cannot guarantee it. So if you're in the area and plan on coming, I would highly encourage you to get your tickets. And also don't forget to scroll down and make sure you find your local group, because we have meetups happening all over the place. And also, if you're new to this channel, make sure you give us a follow. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up before we start going through all the boosts. But let's do that here quick. Boosts and the rants. 1027JS says, have a good show tonight for $20. Thank you, Joe, my fellow North Dakotan. And we got, I thought there was one more. Yeah, here we go. Eshere. John, I hope you get a chance to read my email. Chris, thank you for always pushing me to critically think and challenging my thought process. Emma A.
Thank you, Emma A.
I don't know if I saw your email, but I will look for it. And that one was from last week. So thank you for those. Badlandsmedia.tv/boost. Jay Drake, APL. ... Better play that clip.
The best.
Is excited and wants to let you all know to watch Badlands' newest show, the No Treason Podcast with Jonathan Drake, starting Sunday the 5th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I can confirm that is happening. He is doing a podcast based on Alexander Spooner.
Lysander Spooner.
What did I say? Alexander Spooner? I'm retarded. Yes.
Yes.
He's going to go through reading the book and talking about it, and then eventually he's going to transition into like guests and all these other things. It's going to be great. I'm excited for it because I actually have not read that book yet. Clearly.
Oh, you could read that in an hour or two.
Oh, I'm sure I could, but now I'm just going to watch a show.
Yeah, but when he gets into the trial by jury stuff, I think that John's going to do that after he does No Treason, and that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, he's a really brilliant dude. He's a really good dude. Like, we've met him at a couple guards. He's the one who makes the whips. He's been on a couple Only Lands, and I think he's a good fit. And I'm excited to get him. I'm excited for a show, and I'm excited for you guys to get some exposure to him and his mind. I think it's going to be really good, and that'll be right before Burning Bright show. So you're going to get a nice condensed short show, and then you're going to get Burning Bright every Sunday. It's going to be great. Polymathanon says, respect for you guys. Thank you for $50. Thank you, Polly. Appreciate you. Is he the guy? He's in your chat a lot and engaging with Drake too, right?
Polymathanon is a great one.
Yeah, because I think last night before Only Lands, when I was talking to John Drake about everything, there's a topic that he was talking about, something with the ether, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, when John Drake gets into that stuff, I think he's going to bring Polymathanon on.
Yeah. We were talking about me doing an episode with him on ether, and it's like I got to ramp up a little bit to be able to even know what to ask.
Yeah.
But those guys have done some extensive study on space.
Yeah, that'll be really good. I'm excited. So stay tuned, everybody. Keith O'Higgins says the Democrats respond to Trump's med beds with Anthony Weiner's new healing swimsuit, the Pedo Speedo. That's a good one. AOB 22, John, thanks for everything you do and all the great people who make Badlands bad in a good way, of course. Thank you, AOB. Deborah Stars, John, if you can ever find my contact info, we would have an interesting conversation regarding things my dad conveyed to me. Meanwhile, I admire your thinking and research. If you were paying attention earlier, I did expose my email address to everybody. So now you can get in touch with me directly. But I will say, if I get spammed, I'm going to be real cranky. Keith O'Higgins, we need to watch George Soros's 5 young grandchildren starting a coloring revolution. Andy Artist, this gal is happy when you both do the show. I'm pretty happy about that too. Thank you. One with Cats. San Antonio Badlanders meetup on Sunday, October 5th at 2 p.m. Join us at La Hacienda on Redland Road. More details on the Badlands events page. Hope to see you there.
Nice.
The rant. Love those Badlanders meetups going on. Old School 69. Do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits, whether they are of God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. 1 John 4:1. The enemy wants our loyalty using lies. Don't do it. LOL.
No.
Thank you for that. Whiskey Girl John. Thank you, John and Chris. We appreciate you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. And good to see you in here, Whiskey Girl. If you're still in the chat, I wondered if you're going to be in Cocoa Beach. Tony D says, in Illinois, 1980s, 25% of the workforce was manufacturing 17% in the 90s, and now it's less than 10%. Even the crooks got into politics or NGOs to fraud what remains. POTUS hopefully can turn this around. I would agree. Hope he does. Keith Higgins, everyone assumes Comey will sing. How about FBI agent Jonathan Buma, arrested in March, singing on Comey first? He was Peter Thiel's handler as a confidential human resource, also John Huber's role. That's interesting. I forgot about that guy. I'm going to look him up after the show. G. Fontes, 119. The National Emergencies Act, NEA, enacted September 14, 1976, codified at 50 U.S.C. Hope I still have this. Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, but that is a National Emergency Act that was enacted. Whiskey Girl, could the SecDef meeting with all the top brass align in some significant way with the shutdown? I think we did address that, but thank you for the rant again. The Meerkat, I'll second that. I hadn't thought of that one yet. Most plausible explanation so far. Nice one, Deb. Talking about Whiskey Girl. Boom Diggity, the Breland Allen Hollyhand link. Thank you again for that rant and the link. Keith Higgins, the SCOTUS should decide immigration and, more importantly, dual citizenship. If USA Jews can get Israeli citizenship, why can't U.S. Catholics get Vatican citizenship and Muslims Mecca status? Interesting. Keith Higgins, do you think the sixth eye will be removed with the Russians' $25 billion Ford nuclear reactor project in Iran? If no construction happens on Saturdays, we will know. Oh, I see what you're saying. Funny. Books and coffee. I have been suffering with eczema on my hand. Back in the day, we called it dishpan hands. Nothing was healing it until I got the soft disclosure tallow bar and the lotion. Look at that.
Wow.
Hell yeah. That's what I like to hear. Soft disclosure, healing dishpan hands all over the world, or at least in Books and Coffee's house. Thank you for that. I do stand by the products. Annie with Willow and Farms has done an amazing job. She kicks ass. She's incredibly hard work. I did an interview with her on my Daily Herald show a couple weeks back. She's just so authentic, one of a kind. And all of her, like all the ingredients are sourced right near her. All of her friends on her little farm area there. It's great. So yeah, I'd encourage you guys to check it out. Softdisclosure.com. The Meerkat, Patel Patriot from yesterday. Indicia, or Indiciae, we were trying to figure out what it was, is the plural of indicium. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I don't know if you know. Meaning a sign, indication, or distinguishing mark, or in their words, the hallmarks, indicia, as opposed to indica, BRB. Funny. Yeah, that was in Trump's domestic terrorism NSPM 7, that word. And it hung me up a few times, as most words do. And then let's see here. Steph Asia asks, when are GART virtual tickets going on sale? Very soon, probably this week. We're probably going to reprice them a little bit. And we're going to do a discount initially for like a couple weeks. I got to work those details out, but we'll get back to you on that. Stay tuned. But other than that, I don't have an outro.
Oh, no.
That was a mistake. I wonder if Trump did any like shirtless Chris Christie, JB Pritzker, sumo wrestling videos. I don't see any.
Man, I'm trying to think of what else was really funny today.
Medbed thing. No. Yeah, I don't know, man. Wasn't there a video we were just talking about in our group chat?
Or
is that not appropriate?
I have no idea. Alex Jones.
That was the General Flynn clip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I see any out here. So maybe I'll just play that full clip.
Yeah, do it.
4 minutes long. We didn't finish it. I'll just play the full clip because I do believe he's talking about peds. And Alpha did text me and was like, you guys are both right. And I still stand by. I'm pretty sure national security emergency documents are not real official documents. I'm going to stand by that until somebody proves me wrong. But not what AI says. I'm talking, find me an actual document titled National Security Emergency Document. But anyway, we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in, Chris. As always, it was a pleasure.
Good times.
Hope the horrors don't persist too much for you this weekend, the rest of the weekend.
We'll see how tomorrow morning goes.
Okay, all right. Catch you guys later. Hit that thumbs up. We'll see you next week.
From the Russians, the Cubans, and the Chinese. But when they do this, they're going to make it look like it's a racial uprising in America. Well, they've got people they work with in our government, the Democrats, that are allied with all of this. And the main armies are going to come out of Central and South America. That's why Venezuela is so key. Trump understands this, the Panama Canal. This is the end of the country. This is how they take the country down from within. You don't do it with nuclear weapons or it ends the world because of mad. And all the signs, battle plans, Soros, it's all there. The violence escalating. Now they talk about the Western alliance and offense on TV that is in the Podesta plan and in the movie they produced about it. And they said they would do this if Trump got back in. So they said they're doing it. There's different operational plans, different subgroups that they can change. And it operates off of dates because a lot of low levels don't have the specifics. But that's why we're in maximum danger. They've brought us into this true national crisis of survival. They say he's a dictator because they know when they kick this off, the only move is going to be the main military crushing this. So that's where we are. So you said the president needs to have battle plans presented, ready, military ready to go. I know you've got to go, but just spend a few minutes on the specific powers and what we're facing here if they launch the hot coup.
Yeah, the president of the United States has powers. He has plans. They're called national security emergency orders, and he's got a bunch of them. And when he decides to kick some of those orders into effect, to put some of those orders into effect, he can do extraordinary things. Again, these are things that are within the Constitution, within his duties and responsibilities to do in order to do what I said earlier, which is to preserve the Constitution of the United States of America. He's the only one that has the authority to be able to do that. But he needs to make sure that his team, particularly his national security team, is coming around him and sitting down and going, okay, what are those orders? What are those things that I can do? I mean, it's as much as he can take over every farmland if necessary, if we thought that China was about to biologically attack our food sources. I mean, there's so many national emergencies to consider and to put into effect. And then what happens, Alex, is they kick in a whole series of laws. They actually implement it's roughly 100 to 150 laws that then kick into effect in order to be able to do that, because this is about protecting the future of our country. And this is where I get very, very serious, because I will tell you, this is not going to be another election that we're going to do this or that. I mean, no, folks, this is it. These people have made a conscious decision to start killing people. And they started with the president of the United States. They tried, and they just killed Charlie Kirk, another person who had a great, great future and was already presenting to our country the kinds of visions that we needed to be thinking about from a young man's perspective. Never mind what he did for all of us, but also what we're starting to see. We're starting to see more and more of these events occur. So the president has those things. I mentioned what he needs to be presented on by his national security team. And he also needs to be updated on all these national security emergency orders that he clearly has. They're on the books. He just has to consider which ones need to be, brought to the top, and what ones do I need to think about? What are the consequences if I do, in fact, implement that order? I mean, what is the
messaging?
Jordan,
let me ask you this in closing. What is the messaging in the info war if we're forced to do this? Because we can't, once they, and then that's why they do it incrementally. So the frog in the pot, they're turning the heat up. It's going into boil right now. They're saying it's their move. Right. We'd be fools not to believe them. Under the law and under the Constitution and his duty to preserve, that's why we have to let people know that it's hot war now. At some point, indictments and things are great, but when you got a hot coup being run with traitors inside elements of the government, at a certain point, it's actually, what Abraham Lincoln or George Washington would do if this was going on. It wouldn't be